So this is the video Writing Web Pages Part 2. And to start it, we have to make sure that what we did in the first part is all right. So here is the web page we wrote in the first part. It has the doc type declaration, the skeleton of a web page, and the only words, hello world. Now, this is how the web page looks like in a browser. It only has the two words, hello world. It looks all right. Now, the problem, or one of the problems with the text editors we are using is that they are not set up for writing computer code. The most sophisticated text editors that are built for writing computer code have colored highlighting of the syntax. Neither Notepad nor TextEdit have this extra facility. But we can still look at the source in colors if in Firefox or in Chrome or in Safari or in any other web browser, we go to developer or web developer and we click the button See Source. In Firefox, this can also be done by clicking Command U on a Mac or Control U on a Windows PC. If you do that, you get, so while you're looking at the web page, click on that button that says See Source, and this is what you're gonna get. As you can see, we have colors which show up the syntax. And these colors are correct in this case. Now, what I'm going to do will be to make a mistake intentionally and see how this reflects in the colors. The point is that when you're talking to machines, you have to be very, very accurate. For example, if I forgot this angle bracket at the end of body, so now I'm saving this new version, and I'm going back in here, and I reload it. Look, the page doesn't look all right anymore at all. So now, if I'm looking at this source, take a look. You see, now it's all in red. It is clear now, as I'm seeing this, that I'm supposed to put an angle bracket here to close this body, and then everything is going to go back to normal. So I'm doing that. I save it. And in here in the browser, I load it. And this is my web page all over again. I want to see the source, and the source is fine. From my experience with computer code, I'll tell you that the worst thing that ever happened to me was that I forgot a $sign somewhere, and that messed up work of many hours until I finally found that mistake and I corrected it. So by now, we are done with what we had to do in part 1. And we know that what we did in part 1 is all right. Let's take a look at what we're going to do in part 2. Now, here is the list of the first 7 words we are going to learn in the HTML language. As you can see, the first 3 ones, HTML, head, and body, we learned them already. So we have 3 more to finish this list: title, paragraph, break, and heading. So now, let us go back to our editor and put a title to our web page. While showing you how to do a title, which is supposed to go inside the header, I'm going to tell you one more thing about writing code. As you know, as I told you already, computers typically do not care about white space, about empty lines, tabs, spaces. So the way to write computer code is to make sure that humans can read it properly, because they might have to come back and modify or fix it. So title, how do you write a title? You could write it like this: angle bracket, title, close angle bracket, first web page, exclamation mark, and then close / title. As you can see, title is a tag and it has a beginning and an end, which is /title. Whatever is in between is the title. So you could do it this way, but this is not nice if later on you're going to have to come back and fix it or modify it. The recommended way to do this tagging is to write the opening tag, then write the contents on the next line. When that is done, put the /title on the next line. So now you know for sure, by looking at the beginning of each line, even if you have long lines, that between here and here, you have the title. Now, as you can see, this title is inside the header because the header is from here to there. So now let's save this file and see what we get. Take a look at this. Right now, in the top of the tab is the file name. I reload and look where the title of the web page shows up. It shows up in the header of the web page, not in the web page itself. And this is where it is supposed to be. Next, about paragraphs. For that, we're going to put in some paragraphs in our text. But let me tell you now about lorem ipsum. I'm going to search on Google lorem ipsum. And I'm going to get some lorem ipsum generator. What is this? All of these are websites which are going to produce for you some text. It is called Greek text, although it is actually in Latin. And actually, it is not real text in Latin, but it's just crazy Latin words coming one after the other, which don't mean anything. Let's try this one. So what we're going to do is say, choose to get some 4 paragraphs of lorem ipsum. What is this? So this is just some crazy text which website designers use in order to make the graphics look good without you, when you're checking it, being actually distracted by what the text actually says. So what I'm going to do will be to take all these 4 paragraphs that this website generated for me, to copy it and to paste it inside my body of the web page. I'm going to save this and I'm going to reload it and take a look. Well, the point here is that when we're looking at this, these are paragraphs, as we know that they are supposed to be separated by an empty line. But then here, these empty lines don't matter, so everything is just one big piece of text. So how do you make paragraphs in regular text? Well, that is the P tag. So each paragraph should start with a P in between angle brackets, and it should end. And again, it's good to start with the P by itself on one line and to end with the /P by itself on a different line. What this says is, from here to here, there is a paragraph. Now, if I'm doing this to all the 4 paragraphs I had, and then I'm going to reload this in the browser, you'll see that I'm going to have now 4 nicely written paragraphs. So that is the next word we are learning in HTML, P, paragraph. Now, I'm on a Mac, so I press Command S to save it. And I'm reloading it here. And take a look. We got 4 nicely made paragraphs. The next tag we learn is one that doesn't come in a pair. It's one of the very few that doesn't come in a pair. It's the break paragraph. Wherever you want what follows to start at the beginning of the line, you put in a BR. So let's say here, starting with this word, Donek, I'm going to introduce a BR. I'm saving this. I'm reloading it in the browser. And as you can see, Donek is at the beginning of the word, of the line. Well, it doesn't seem so much of a thing right now, but take a look. The difference between HTML and the written page is that if you resize the page, the text is reflowed according to the paragraph tags that you put in. Like this, you see? And finally, in this part 2 of the web, we should make this hello world as a title. Actually like a heading of a section of a heading of a chapter in a book. For that, we're supposed to put an H1 to start with and the /H1 to end it. These are headings, and H1 is the biggest, the nicest heading. It goes to H2, which is a little bit smaller. So if I wanted an H2, this would be an H2 here and the /H2 there. H3 is a little bit smaller, and so on. We have, by default in HTML, we have 6 levels of headings. So here is the page at the end of learning our first 7 words in HTML. That is in an editor, and this is in the browser. Let's take a look at the source. Well, as you can see, the browser understands that all that thing I wrote in there, all that paragraph, is just one long line. But it does format it correctly when it displays it in the browser. So what do we have here? We have text, which is irregular characters. We have tags, which are in purple. And we have the doc type declaration, which is a blue-gray. So that is the end of part 2. You should make sure that you have all these things correctly, because if you have mistakes in here, we're going to have more problems at the beginning of part 3. So check your web source, check your source, make sure it looks like this.